I just want to say that you are so welcome to be here with us today to a gathering where we dedicate ourselves to experience a realization of oneness, a realization of truth, a realization of the divine. A time when we set aside our circumstances of the moment, our learning experiences, and simply dwell in the limitless reality of the divine.
We light the Christ candle for this joyous season of love and happiness, families coming together, and our church family is here. Amen.
Amen. When the meditation is over, then we'll do the burning bowl, and that'll kind of be a meditation close for us. And we're looking forward to that because it has become a tradition with Unity people everywhere to have this burning bowl ritual at the close of the new year, keeping in mind that the close of a new year and the beginning of it's an illusion that we create in our civilization. But it is good to have cycles and what do they call it? Rites of passage. And look where you've come from and look where you've been. So I would like to do a review of where we've been this year. We've covered a lot of ground and had some great, beautiful experiences together. Let it be blessed and put to rest. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. Well, we had 2 christenings, Adele, Catherine, Elizabeth Davis, and little Faye, Olivia, Christopher just recently. Don't you love those christenings? They're just so sweet and so full of love and devotion and honoring of the Christ in all of us. And then we had 2 memorial services for our beloved Wayne Catanaugh and for our beloved Mandy Martinez. Such sacred and beautiful events, and I find that they really solidify community. They take on a life of their own. A memorial service, I've never gone through one that didn't just take its own form and reveal itself to the people there. We had some glorious sermon series. We started off last year with a series called The Blessings. Remember that? That actually could be turned into a fairly good book, I think. It was the blessing of coherence, the blessing of surrender, the blessing of fellowship, the blessing of vulnerability, the blessing of order, and the blessing of beholding the Christ. And that took us up to the lead into Easter season. We did a closer look at the life of Yeshua. And then the Journey Within series, 2-part. And then the Divine Masculine Emergence around Father's Day. And then we did a prosperity series based on the 4T prosperity and partnering with our membership drive, which was wonderfully successful. And then that led into the alchemy of the heart, taking responsibility for feeling our feelings. And then the Christmas services. We had 4 guest speakers this year, I believe, Bill, did you give a talk this year? No, it was last year. The years go by so fast. We had Bella, our otherwise known as Peggy Reese. We had Reeves. We had Nathan Smith. We had Barb Olson, and we had just recently David Schroeder. I heard people really liked him. Yes? Good. We had classes, new classes. We had new people participating. We had new board members come on board. You know, when I compiled a new roster of our congregation, I took names out of the 2013, what was it called? A membership directory that we had made up. I took the names that were still viable, like 27 of them had passed on, but a number of names that were still active. And then when I looked into what we have to add to that, there were as many, again, new names. So that is a wonderful sign. we had these wonderful events that built our community. We had a craft fair, we had a spiritual gifts fair, we had a spring prom night in April we could wear formal gowns to, we had a birthday party for Hoppy, we had holiday parties, and all of those events deepened our fellowship and our cooperation and our love for each other and brought in a little bit of money. So I think that we've covered some wonderful territory this year, that our fellowship is stronger and grows in being authentic and serving one another with love and goodwill. But now we turn our attention to the present moment. The present moment. What keeps you from being in the present moment? Because that's the key to everything. From being in the moment without bringing your projections and interpretations and defenses and qualifiers and exceptions and stories and dramas. Well, I think there's a good illustration of these things in Bob Dylan's song that came to me while I was writing this sermon called All I Really Want to Do. You know that song? And I was going to ask someone to read it for us. Do you feel like... All right. I think he's just the right salty dog to read this, don't you?
I'm looking to compete with you, eat or cheat or mistreat you, simplify you, classify you, deny, defy, or crucify, mystify you. All I really want to do is, baby, be friends with you. I ain't looking to fight with you, frighten you, or uptight with you. Drag you down, or drain you down, or chain you down, or bring you down. All I really want to do is, baby, be friends with you. I ain't looking to straight face with you, race or chase, track or trace you, or disgrace you, or displace you, or define you, or confine you. All I really want to do baby, be friends with you. I ain't looking to block you up, shock, or knock, lock, or lock you up. Analyze you, categorize you, finalize you, advertise you. All I really want to do is, baby, be friends with you. I ain't looking to be your king, make you spin or do it. And I ain't looking for you to feel like me, see like me, or be like me. All I really want to do is, baby, be friends with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Louie. Thank you so much. All I really want to do. Yes. I think Bob Dylan was really inspired, and he put his finger right into the socket of the juice, didn't he? Really. He was, he got the Nobel Prize for literature a couple of years ago. Now, I also want to mention, how many of you have seen, do you kids know the series of the Mama Llama and the Baby Llama books? They know it. They know it. Well, Sue Kent showed it to me a couple of days ago that there's a baby llama being put to bed at night. And he says he wants a drink of water. And then he says he needs to go to the bathroom. And then he says he's too cold. And then he says he needs the light on. And the mama says, enough of this llama drama. You know? And it's the drama thing. But when we ask the question, what keeps us from being present in the moment? The correct answer is no thing. No thing. Nada. There is no thing that has power over us that we ourselves do not consent to. More than that, if you understand the law of attraction, it becomes more and more clear that you actually create your experience by the vibration that you hold. So our work should be to learn to hold a vibration that is exalted, to hold a vibration that has a quality of energy that is positive, that is healing, restoring, loving. That is what we want to be doing in our work, in these gatherings. So when we say clear the decks, what are we saying? We are saying that we want to have nothing, no thing that inhibits us from attaining a state of being that is a blessing to the whole. A state of vibration that is unencumbered by doubt, fear, anger, or any of the separation states. You know, the only mistake we can make is thinking that we're separate from God. The only sin we can do is thinking that we're not one with the one. So think of how you or anyone walks into a situation, and what do they walk out with? They walk out with the results of the energy that they brought to the situation. And I'm going to tell a little story here that leads into what I'm going to be doing in the next month about walking into a situation. So I went to see my daughter, Becky, who lives in Los Angeles. She has a 3.5-year-old daughter, and her partner is a musician. We call him Nate. His name is Nathaniel. And when I got there, and we've had a difficult time getting sort of in tune with each other. We haven't been getting along that well, any of us, although we've tried. But I went into the situation like, I'm just here to help. I'll do whatever I can to, bring order, peace, whatever. And I kept thinking, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and he's going to get up and say, I think your presence here is too disruptive and I think you should go stay in a hotel for the rest of your visit. I found out his parents do stay in a hotel when they come. And no, he got up and told my daughter Becky that I think your mom is just what we need around here, and when I'm gone next month, I want her to come and help you. Yeah. So it was a total turnaround. I was so surprised at how that went, because I was actually, kind of standing up to the little girl who's used to having her, I don't want to say having her way. She was used to prevailing, let's say. And And at one point, Nate said under his breath, "This is what I've been waiting for," somebody to provide some boundaries. And so as I have to say, as I drove to the airport with him, and I was telling him, Aurora said to me, when I told her something about my parents, she sort of turned around halfway and she said, "I have good parents. They do everything I ask." And when I told Nate that, he squirmed. Becky thought it was so funny. She cracked up, but he's kind of squirmed like, "Oh, she's kind of spoiled, isn't she?" And I said, "No, actually it means that she trusts you and she feels secure. And actually, the three of you, you just couldn't be any more wonderful than you are." And I teared up, and I'm teared up now. They're so dear. And that may have been what swung the balance. But that's what happens when we bring a heart of love into a situation. We come out with even more. So now, I also want to tell you about another demonstration, because divine order is one of the things that clutters our decks, right? This was a miraculous thing that happened. I bought my house 3 or 4 years ago. 4 years ago now. And for 2 years, I didn't even move into it. You know why? I didn't have time to move. And what if I did move? I didn't even have a bed of my own. I'd been renting a room in a lady's house, Anne, my friend. And I just got to the point where I was lying in bed one night in the other house that I didn't own. And I just said, "God, please help me. I just don't know how I'm going to get moved. I don't have time to organize my things and set up the house, and I don't even have a bed." Just help me. The next day, Anne walks in and says, I've decided to sell this house, and if you'll give me carte blanche, I'll just arrange your house, I'll clean it up, and I'll move all my stuff into your house because my new fiancé won't take any of it, and you can have it all. Can I? Done. Done. That's how fast divine order can sweep the decks of your life. Just ask for celestial help. Have faith. Walk by faith and not by sight. But wait, now what about the emotion that we carry that has been suppressed, what we were talking about all month in November? Can that be an obstacle to clearing the decks? Actually, yes, it can. But taking responsibility for our feelings eventually leads us to a place where we no longer create those feelings, where we no longer harbor them if they appear, where we no longer are at their mercy, but are in self-mastery to heal them at depth. This is why it is so important to be in touch with your feelings, to be sensitive to feelings. And here is a secret. You can transform those feelings. When you lift yourself to a higher vibration, you actually transcend to a higher plane of existence where old wounds become no longer charged with any meaning but are simply memories, lessons learned, deeper wisdom. And how do we do this? How do we raise the vibration, the quality of energy of the auric field we project? Well, with the daily word, for one thing. Hold up that daily word. The daily word is a marvelous tool to start off each day with a positive thought, with a consciousness of the freedom and infinitude of spirit. Also, being aware of our choices and what they mean, self-awareness. Being attuned to the divine guidance within you. Living positively. Loving fearlessly. Giving without attachment. This is what we are about here and in any group of people seeking to express the Christ Spirit, seeking to express their divine nature. They don't have to call it the Christ. So when we ponder the question of whether we transcend our emotions or process and heal them, which is it? We have one of the deepest paradoxes of spirituality. Have you ever hit up against that? Which is true? Well, it's always not either or. It's both and. It's both and. Whatever comes to you to do, do it. I want to read you this message that Silent Unity sent out from Charles Fillmore. Where is it? Here it is. Charles Fillmore wrote this back when he was living in the 40s, later in his career. He said, Christmas is about the birth of the Christ consciousness at the center of the human soul. It does not belong to the past. It is a vital, living, present truth. The bringing forth of the Christ child is not work that is finished in Bethlehem. It is taking place in our midst every day. It is this that we celebrate. And let's celebrate it all the time, okay? And I want to read to you in closing, before we go into our meditation and have our burning bowl, the course that we've set for next year. If you look in your program folder, I'm going to read this. Our theme for 2020. Discover your spiritual power. We keep saying that we are more powerful than we know. It's time to start using the power we have to create more good in the world. As Jesus said, quote, "In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." John 16:33. In this community of spiritual seekers, we are emerging into a consciousness of unprecedented vision and wholeness. Our journey is about to accelerate to a new level of positivity, productivity, and love. Know this and be blessed by it. Amen. And so I invite you now to partake of spiritual communion, to go to the inner closet and shut the door and pray to the Father in secret. So let us relax and take some deep breaths. Let your eyes close, turning within, drawing your awareness into the center of your being. Let your body drape effortlessly. Let your mind drain away the thoughts of the moment. Let your heart thrill with the knowledge of your divinity. Our statement for meditation is divine. I make my way through this life path in the wisdom and power of Spirit. I'll say it again. I make my way through this life path in the wisdom and power of Spirit. And let's vocalize this together now. Together, I make my way through this life path in the wisdom and power of Spirit. And let those words echo silently in your heart. And allow this time for yourself to be in the awareness of the presence in the silence. Jesus said, "For this came I into the world to bear witness to the truth." Our lives are a sacred testament of the divine truth of being, the freeing reality of our own divine nature. As we awaken, as we expand, as we grow, as we love, these mysteries we behold. Amen.